Well, I just was going to say, I think that goes back to that, how it began in Capricorn, the seed of the cycle, but it, obviously the sun here is in Aquarius,
Mm-hmm.
that, simultaneity of Capricorn and Aquarius, and even Aquarius having its side of, it, everything casts a shadow, and everything has it has its illuminated pieces. Um, the election of a Black president was extremely important, in my opinion, as far as the more egalitarian, progressive side of Aquarius. And to the shadow that I will also speak to is the surveillance state, and with which I do think was greatly expanded under Obama, as
Brutal,
well as the use of drone warfare. This was a new technology.
constant use of drone warfare. I know.
And if you look to the Mars in this chart, look who is with Mars is Black Moon Lilith.
Ooh, yeah. The
And
secret, the hidden.
The
wow,
hidden,
so
we left warfare, which I find repugnant on all levels personally. Those are my personal beliefs. But we went from like a boots on the ground where you confront your enemy,
right,
in some cases face to face, to this detached, which is very Aquarius.
right, brilliant.
And yeah, the Black Moon, I think, does speak to kind of the shadowiness, the hidden, the kind of uh, unmoral quality.
Oh yeah, just absolutely
Immoral,
moral considerations. Just they don't enter into the kind of moral considerations. I mean, far be it from me to sit here and pass that sort of judgment on President Obama, but I will say that for people who don't know, for people who don't know, statistically, I think it's President Obama dropped a drone on a foreign country. Most of these brown countries, like every 20 seconds during his presidency. That's how it breaks down. That's how many drone strikes he authorized. Literally one every 20 seconds. Like, we had a lot of domestic peace here at tragic international cost. So that's so interesting that we have the warfare here, and I love that you bring that out, River. I had never considered that. We have Mars, Lilith, and that keeps the warfare secret. And then with Priapus, how we're portraying publicly, how we're integrating with the public. United States is very Venus in Pisces. Oh yeah, very. Oh, we're just here, Obama came off very Venus in Pisces. Everyone loved him. They felt he was just the greatest thing since sliced bread. Be that as it may, and his good qualities and his shortcomings aside, I think that this in the United States, I'm terrible. I know not to call it America. I know every day I think to myself, I live in the United States, and people call it America. But this chart just so perfectly reflects the things that were going on at that time. And I also want to say, right around this time, were things happening with digital currency? Was that emerging?
I don't know, but the big financial crash was primarily in 2008, just before this.
That's what it was. That was a huge recession.
Yeah, if you have the seed of the moon in Capricorn, the fruition, we have this recession, financial crisis. I mean,
wow, yeah.
These themes harkening back to Capricorn.
Yeah. Which is really very interesting, because if you look at it, if you look at it from the point of view of Sun in Aquarius, is actually about bigger picture, about Aquarius is always about kind of the context and the bigger picture, the bird's eye view, pattern recognition, that kind of next level out. Where Leo is always much more personal. You could kind of see this as that sort of heart, that sort of the pride, that sort of personal, United States, that kind of American thing, actually reflecting a light that was, more contained an energy of like, in Aquarius, more globalization, more expansive, like bigger picture stuff, more fitting all the like nations together into a thing. And I just wonder if there was anything that happened in 2009 that, like I didn't pull out my notes with the UN, or since Carter, the Democratic presidents have actually had like an amazing history of moving us towards globalization. So it's actually like, it's really questionable, not, from the point of view of American nationalism, it's very questionable. A lot of people really don't like that. That's neither here nor there. I see it as somewhat inevitable. I see that as happening on just a cellular level. Like we need to evolve to become a planet, and that's just going to look ugly from here. But I don't know. That's enough out of me, River. That's my
No,
2 cents.
I agree with all of that you said, and have been following that as well. I don't know the specifics. I do know just the Occupy Wall Street movement. That was 2011, but still in this general phase of the moon.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, financial matters,
Right.
corruption,
Right.
bailouts,
but a little bit more of a people's movement, no?
a people's movement for sure. And you got that Aquarius piece. So
just
seeking that egalitarian vision, I think is a big part of this cycle. So I don't, I bring in like I said, it's both. It's always both. I think in this paradoxical universe that we
yes not relative to this cycle or that cycle, but it's always both. It's just always both. That's brilliant. One of the things I think that's really great about this video is, in retrospect, it's very easy to correlate because we know what happened, and so we can look at all these and say, yeah, when the sun and the progressed sun is moving through Aquarius, we're having all the when progressed Uranus is on Aldebaran, we're having such experiences of technological orientation. We're having progressive, individualistic, these sort of Uranian, Aquarian approaches, and the whole development, I think. So if we go back to 94, when that last new moon happened, one of the things I remember about 1994 is I was just beginning to play with computer networks, and the America Online was emerging, and the internet, the internet was sort of being born, like in this lunation. And I don't know how much of that happened before the sun hit Aquarius. I don't know how much of that was late Capricorn, but I just roughly, and I really just realized this right now, roughly that kind of blew up as the progressed sun moved into Aquarius. That was when AOL was like 96, 97. That's when that was really happening. So one of the values that I hope this video presents to people, to watchers, to you out there, whoever we're talking to today, is that we can see in retrospect, oh wow, this stuff really, that's how this does work. That's how this does line up, because you can't make this up. It really does. There are patterns that it's so eerie. It's so wild how they fit. And there's a lot of wild patterns with the close. This is the full moon of the expression, and for the waning quarter, oh boy, we have. Is there anything you want to say before we move on to 2017, River?
I think we can move ahead.
Let's Let's go back in the time machine, 2017. All right. River, I dare not. I have nothing good to say about 2017. Oh, there was a good women's march in 2017. And there were a lot of all those sexual harassment allegations took down like senators and congressmen and judges and politicians. Then we shifted to actors and I mean, so there were some interesting things, but I just want to let you break down 2017 and what you see in these charts.
Okay, well, what you're talking about, I hadn't considered, but I'm looking up at Venus and Priapus, and
Ah,
I feel like that kind of speaks to what you're late, there, like cusp there of Venus, Pisces, Aries cusp.
yeah, that's so
So
brilliant. Yeah.
that movement of women
Right.
coming together, Priapus. But yeah, so Ophiuchus anyway is where this moon is occurring. I wrote in my notes it's aligned to the great attractor.
Mm.
So
And
I would
that for the people, River, is where the Milky Way galaxy crosses the ecliptic where the planets travel. Yeah. Or is that
the great attractor is actually like a great force of what of like pulling it's not honestly there's debate of what it is. I don't know the current
I don't think we
science.
know. I was mistaken. It's like an object in distant space, is it not? That has gravitational pull on our whole galaxy. Is that correct?
Correct. Highly,
Okay.
highly magnetic
Okay.
force. So in saying that, I just think something major with this last quarter is going to occur.
Yeah.
That
We've
that's going.
certainly seen little else. We've certainly seen little else than major activity since 2017.
Uh,
Gosh, there were it was revealed in 2017 that the Pentagon had secretly been studying UFOs. This is another Aquarian Uranian phenomenon, relative to bigger picture, relative to futurism, and relative to just the Aquarian Uranian thing in general. In so many ways, advanced technology and our place in the galaxy. What do you think about that? That's not really remained in the fore, but it's back in the fore now.
I definitely have things to say about that, and it's interesting that that was 2017. I hadn't realized that was the year that was about the Pentagon.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Ophiuchus, the great transformer, this Ophiuchus, I'll have a lot more to say about the when we get to the next chart. I think with the piece about UFOs and extraterrestrials. But so the moon is in Ophiuchus, the snake handler. We have Donald Trump come to power,
Right.
who was born, he came 2016, a few months before this, right?
Right.
I think the timeline is, but roughly around this time, Donald Trump comes to power. He was born on a total lunar eclipse in Ophiuchus.
That's true.
So, how, our last quarter in Ophiuchus, and of course, we experience not only the Trump presidency, but the pandemic. So again, the moon aligned to the great attractor. That my point is there's something big. There's something big on the horizon, in the realm of health. Ophiuchus, the healer, the shaman, the whatever word you want to describe for he or she or they. This, I think, Ophiuchus being a bit infamous in the astrological community, especially of like
notorious, yeah.
You either love him or love them or her, or just, there's some disdain of Ophiuchus is not a part of the zodiac, etc. But there's this outsider force, this somewhat disruptor but activator, which could be argued that regardless of what you think of Trump, there was a disrupting force. There was someone from outside of the main political system. So even the Ophiuchus being outside of the dominant astrological system, and the pandemic that followed, which obviously had a lot of death, Ophiuchus with Scorpio underneath. But also I think for some there's an awakening, there's a metamorphosis, there's a lot in this time period that I think Ophiuchus is ushering in this.
Oh yeah.
Even
that's it, and it all fits together. And the most interesting thing to me, about Trump's rise to presidential power was that he galvanized all the outsiders. He came as an outsider and he galvanized everybody who felt disenfranchised with partisan politics. Everybody from like hardcore right-wing conservative Christian military types to the most progressive, some of the most like progressive crystal hippie people I know, really beautiful souls, well-meaning. They were magnetized to the idea that politics could take a different form. It wouldn't be politics as usual. This guy he was going to come in and he wasn't a politician. He was going to do different things. He wasn't going to play politics. And that was a very attractive idea to people. And I say all this not just to bring it up, but actually within a larger context, and that's the context of the waning quarter moon, because when we're looking at lunar cycles, right? We had this new moon, and we have the rising cycle to the full expression, and then once you start having the energy starts to sort of go in that downward phase of the sine wave. This square is a sort of like no man's land between the fullness of the cycle and the next cycle. So we're winding down, but we're also getting ready, right? So things here that happen are tells and clues and like little breadcrumb trail about what the next new moon is going to be about. And I don't think it's going to be about Trump. That's not what I'm saying. But what we had, like what you see, it was revealed at this time that the United States government at the level of the Pentagon itself was interested, studying unidentified flying objects. Okay, that portended, right, what we're seeing today, which is like, oh my God, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And I think that learning how deep that rabbit hole goes is likely to be one of the more interesting things about the next phase. I think we're just sort of getting warmed up. I think I really do. I really hope we're just getting warmed up. We were just talking about that, weren't we? But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, the moon is opposite Uranus too.
Oh, yeah, you are so right. The moon is opposite Uranus, and there's another really interesting feature in this chart, in that when we saw the very new moon of this cycle, that's that 1994 new moon, Mercury was stationed. It was stationed retrograde at the forwardmost part of the sky, right? And that was correlated with 1994, the advent of the internet, so to speak, and you could say maybe Clinton politics. They seem progressive at the time to a lot of people. They seem very progressive at the time. And then here, for the Trump era, we have Mercury stationed direct, which is at his most retrograde point, at the most backslid possible point, but stationed. So it's like, let's extricate ourselves from this history, and look how resonant it is with this cycle, just with this recent history. There's been so much just during this cycle that's just up for review. It's just it's already up for review. Time is moving faster, right? That's like there's been this quickening of evolution.
And Michael,
Another
that Mercury, I'm fairly certain, is at the degree of the new moon also.
Yeah, almost.
Is that what you, is that what you said?
Yeah, well, I noticed that. I think, yeah, we can both say it. I think you're exactly right. I think that's a very interesting observation. And it's kind of like, whoa, we're getting back in the retro machine. But at the same time, the whole cycle has been about looking so far forward. And with that moon connected to Uranus, we're going to be looking forward. And with the moon stationed direct, it's like, yeah, we're at that like backed up most point. But then there's only like one way to go from there. So it's very interesting. I can't tell you that I see anything in this chart that gives me ideas about how the next, that next 30-year cycle will go. But when we look at it, this is now that next cycle, what we're talking about. This is like the main thing that's happening next year. It's been a long walk, but we're here. Can I show that chart?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Nice. Yeah, so we like to build context. We like to really understand what we're talking about. And all that is in a way is just the context for this alignment, which does go exact in Washington, D.C., 23rd March, 2024, with a progressed new moon in Pisces opposite Neptune. All right. What do you see in that? What do you see not just in the Pisces Neptune thing, but in the whole chart? What catches your eye first?
So, I've brought in some stars for the other timestamps. This one is fixed star Markov of Pegasus.
Alpha Pegasus Markov.
Alpha Pegasus. I'm not sure if it shows. Yeah, it does show on your data here.
It does on this one. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a 0-degree relationship. They're really in that degree of the sky. And Pegasus, just south of the ecliptic, or sorry, just north, is it?
North, yeah.
Thank you. South would be Cetus. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, so back to the space piece. I mean, we have a lot going on that front right now, and you brought in that the Pentagon revealed that in 2017 that they were studying UFOs. So Pegasus, I see it over and over, represents flying things. And
as a whole constellation, you find it resonant with airborne things?
With airborne things, yes.
Excellent.
Flying vehicles, flying craft, even you can see it in the charts of pilots, astronauts, etc. Often have strong Pegasus contacts. Really? Even the age that we're in.
Yeah.
The closest marking star to the whole age, we talk about the age of Pisces, the age of Aquarius. Well, the closest marking star right now is in Pegasus. It's Shiat, and the next one will be Markov. So and since the equinox has aligned to Shiat, we've
Mhm.
seen the development of aeronautics in all its forms, of space travel.
Mm.
If you go back to Babylon, this star Markab was part of the field, which was also the abyss, that where Enki resided. Abyss is very much, to me, uh, connects to the notion of space. What is the abyss?
Mm.
So
Mhm, mhm.
those are just some things I do think we're going to see, just for the fact that the new moon is aligned to Markab, opposite Neptune. I mean, yes, we're talking about craft, we're talking about aliens. It's becoming part of the mainstream discourse, and I think we will see more of that. But also with the Neptune piece, in opposition to Neptune, not just about space and aliens and etc., even like space travel uh, for leisure, just
Mhm.
I think we're going to see a lot more things around flying vehicles, and that's of course not all Pegasus is about by any means, but I was looking actually at when the moon landing occurred, of
Oh,
course, which is also in opposite. The moon was at this exact degree by progression
interesting.
when the moon landing occurred. So,
Ah,
but again, another thing that it's in opposition to Neptune. There are different ideas around that, and I think the
yeah,
Neptune piece of even like why is this becoming part of the discourse? I think the Neptune as the illusionist, the deceptive side of Neptune
mm,
is a side you have to also discuss, especially in an opposition.
yeah,
Um,
I agree. And I wish it wasn't that way, but I agree. And at the same time, Neptune can be art and dramatic depiction and fantasy. So we may see in this period of time, we may see in our science fiction or just in our maybe fantasy descriptions, things like really take off in a futuristic way. That's highly likely with Uranus remaining on Aldebaran empowered, and now Mercury will be moving through Aquarius for the next almost 20 years. So, um, yeah. It's hard. It's hard to make quick sense of any Neptune relationship because there's such an incredible kind of spiritual, kind of all-inclusive, ever-loving kind of side to Neptune, and then there's this drunken, confused side to Neptune.
and Neptune is ruling the modern ruler of Pisces. So the fact that they're in opposition even strengthens the Neptune piece. And I absolutely agree that Neptune is that spiritual love that is vastly creative, and that I would think will inevitably be part of this cycle. Like, the yeah, the advancements, the creativity. I mean, Uranus is right there at the midheaven too.
Yeah. So the technological evolution and the advancement and the push forward is going to be strong because Uranus is on Aldebaran. So that kind of energy will just fuel a very forward-thinking approach from within United States. The progressions are mostly like kind of internal attitudes, more like responses to things. This is an interesting point. Save this for the end, but the progressions are more, they're understood to tell internal attitudes and how people respond to things, the spaces they respond out of and the attitudes they respond out of, more so than like events that might happen, personality traits. But it's just like so if you have if your natal if your natal sun was in late Capricorn, like the 94 chart we were looking at. Let's just say someone was born in 94. And their sun was in Capricorn. Of course, that doesn't. I just caught that mistake, and probably no one else will. But it doesn't matter. Let's say your sun's in Capricorn, and as your progressed sun moves through Aquarius, I think I've seen that people remain sort of Capricorn type people. Like something will remain with that original sort of like, it'll be structured, it'll be organized, it'll be grounded, it'll be slow, it'll be thoughtful. But when it goes through that Aquarius phase, it's like inwardly, it'll start looking for ways to expand beyond its own limitations. And it's just, they work together. The progressed phases start to talk about how we react and the space we respond out of. So I think the point I'm making here is that with a new moon talking about a 30-year cycle that's just at first glance most predominantly Neptunian, I think we could either put our heads in the sand or we could get spiritualized. I think that's is there a third Neptune option? I'd like to think that there might be, right? What does
I
Neptune
think
what does Neptune do?
maybe even unveiling illusions, even though
Right,
Neptune,
disillusionment. That's the thing Neptune does. That's the third thing. It wants to be disillusioned, especially in Virgo. Thank you, River. Please, I'm sorry, go on. I think you're actually on the exact right point. The disillusionment, the lifting of the veil, right?
yeah, the lifting of the veil, I think is going to be huge in this cycle. And back to the Uranus piece. I mean, Uranus at the midheaven in a cycle that will see shortly after this, the Uranus return of the United States.
Yep.
I think Uranus is also a big player. This is early Pisces, and according to which chart you use,
Yeah.
it's close to Aquarius as well. And
Yeah.
Uranus being that ruler of Aquarius. So
Right.
I think the notion of freedom from illusion
Right.
is gonna be big.
Right. That's good. That's good. And then let me open something up just really briefly. The United States natal. So here's the United States natal midheaven at 11 Virgo, almost 12 Virgo. And whoops. And oh, goodness. Do that. So where's 12 Virgo? Here's 6 and 16. Well, that makes 12. Put about right here. So this is all Black Moon, Lilith, and Neptune right on the U.S. natal midheaven. So, I mean, they're trying each other too, technically. No, they're not. They're not. That's a midheaven trine to Neptune, and it's a very wide one. Uranus is not making aspect to Neptune. I misspoke. But yeah, River, I see it. I can see a lot of progress in the area of disillusionment, especially, I mean, it's easy to say that technologically information is traveling faster than ever before. The internet, computers, cellular technology, and that's likely to play a role. But when we see Pluto trine to this Uranus midheaven, I think we could also see in this next period of time, 2024 and future forward, like radical technological acceleration, for better or worse, with the node there. But you know what I mean? Like we could really see technology just push through. I could finally get that hoverboard, right? That we've all been waiting since 2015.
I, yeah, and I think in Taurus also, I mean,
Mhm.
I think most of us have an awareness of this, but money,
Money.
financial
Yeah.
systems are going to be completely revolutionized.
Yeah,
Revolutionized.
quite likely we'll see the heavy digitization. We'll see them work out their blockchain issues and their cryptocurrency. We'll probably see that shift from a bunch of bows to the government. But no, seriously, we'll probably see crypto experimentation shift from these hustlers to like the Federal Reserve is going to get interested. There's too much potential there, and there's too much in this age of decreased privacy and in increased surveillance. There's too much potential for them to monitor what everybody's doing financially for them to put that down. I really believe that's a future we're going to see is digital currency.
I
Now, for better or
think
worse,
it,
I'm not like a crypto bro myself. I'm not invested, but I just really believe that.
yeah, and Uranus again at Aldebaran, the midheaven is at Aldebaran.
Mhm.
Uh, Integrity. This is
Mm,
freedom. It's Uranus also, but as it corresponds to integrity, I think integrity with all of this, with any potential shisty manipulation
yeah.
of Neptune, Black Moon, Lilith, um, that again can also foster vast creativity and spiritualism. And um, the Sun and Moon with Pegasus is like unbounded imagination.
Mm.
But integrity with Uranus is, and at the Uranus return will also involve Aldebaran, which is a star of power and wealth. But the biggest word I have for Aldebaran is integrity.
Yeah. Integrity for sure. Integrity for sure. Well, like any chart we could dork out. There's, I see a lot happening. Venus is on Hamal, making a grand trine to Eris and the ascendant, and then just we could get into what that means. But I think actually, in the interest of time, we want to keep this conversation digestible and relevant, and just to the really beneficial things to our viewers. Um, And I think the question I have for you is like if you had to put all this in one place, if you had to sum it up, um, what do you see? What do you see in this chart? This is sort of a template for the next 30 years. So we're going to be in this cycle, this highly technological, very Piscean, oriented to the star Alpha Pegasus, uh, is that Markov or Merkab? Markov. They always confuse me. What do you what do you see in summation? If you had to put your thoughts, I know we've gotten a lot of good thoughts out, and it made an amazing amount of sense for us not having actually ironed this out much ahead of time. But how would you summarize all this, River?
I think that last blip I said I was attempting a summary
Nice.
of, um, but let's see, you know, I'm looking at my notes if I'm leaving anything out.
There's a North American total eclipse right around this time, isn't there? And there was one in 2017. Isn't that interesting? When that was there was a great American eclipse. It was one of the stories, the big American stories in 2017. And then in 2024, now there will be another line of totality coming right down through North America, United States. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's going to be, I think that is going to be very big, just as the 2017 eclipse, that was conjunct Regulus. And again, we had Trump, who has ascendant Regulus, come to power
True
with the
story.
Regulus eclipse. And this eclipse will be in late Pisces, conjunct both Chiron very tightly and
Mm,
Eris and
hmm.
Mercury.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. That's very, it's like pretty late Pisces, isn't it? It's
it
like,
is. And
um, I'm
yeah,
not sure the
so
degree, but it's like something like that.
yeah, so I think that illusions piece and around, you know, all types of things, but I think we are going to be really confronted, is my prediction, with a shattering of illusions
Right, right, right.
around a lot of matters.
And I think how people, I think when I see Pluto in South Node, I usually get really worried. It's not a good combo. But when North Node has Jupiter with it, that's a lot better. That's way better. And I think in that though, I see an inevitable polarization. And I see that in the face of the informations that are going to be unveiled, some people, some people will respond in one sort of Neptunian fashion, and other people, some people will bury their heads in the sand, and other people will seek disillusionment. Some people will be deceived and deluded, and others will be spiritually empowered to expand themselves spiritually. Um, I do see all of that in this chart. That kind of polarization where I feel that even the Jupiter, the benefit of the sort of saving this nodal equation, and this nodal equation affects Venus, by the way, and Saturn by square. We're not going to get into that in this video. But what I see in that is that even the saving grace Jupiter is expressed in Gemini terms, the split terms. And there's just an energy that's gonna, I think, I think there that the themes of polarization, because of the alignments at the time of this new moon, are likely to be heavy and to sort of take some time, and they'll likely be a part of this next cycle, I think. Unfortunately, I wish I could say, oh, we're all going to get our, everyone wants to hear that we're all going to get our shit together and everything's going to work out great. Let's hope it does. But I sort of tend to think that we'll see this polarization that we've seen develop since 2017. I sort of tend to think we'll see that play its role in the next cycle, huh?
Oh yeah, I, I no doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah, I don't have much doubt either. Wish I did.
I
So what's the positive takeaway? What's the advantageous thing
yeah,
about understanding what we've talked about today? I think for me it's leaning into not knowing. With Pisces, not just that we don't really know what next year will bring, but with Pisces represents the unknown, the great mystery, right? The thing that's just where everything stops making sense.
yeah, absolutely. That I don't think they're in that opposition to Neptune. I mean,
Sensitivity too.
like
We could develop great
embracing.
spiritual. Oh, so sorry. So sorry.
No, it's that it. I'm just saying that clarity. I do think this is about removing the veil, but
Yeah.
that Neptune piece is strong. It's just really strong. So yeah, leaning into that as you're talking about Pisces, also Pegasus that is above both Pisces and Aquarius, kind of stretching over them as we're in this age that I would say is like the age of Pegasus, this cycle kind of speaks to that, the bridging times, the bridging of ages, and in this sense, the bridging of how this cycle, connects to this age that we're in. I will eventually move into this age of Aquarius.
Right. Because
Yeah,
this is a little bit of this is just a precursor from the point of view of like a very advanced technology and like super futuristic stuff. This is just sort of like likely to develop into that as a kind of a main theme, isn't it?
yeah, and I would say there is a fast quality to Pegasus and Markov. This is the saddle, like you're riding this majestic being, boundless imagination, inspiration. There's a quality of like, yeah, fastness, lightning. There's like, and perhaps that could bring a, a bit of clarity, even, as Uranus is at the midheaven, that like fast insight to like bust through the veil of illusion.
That's it.
But
That's it. That's it. Because it's always what we choose to do. It's always what we choose to do with it. That's the real truth of life. The truth of astrology is the situation will be what it is, but the truth of personal freedom is that we always have choice within that. So I think that what I'm taking from what you're saying and what I've gotten from examining all this is to recognize the need to lean in to those sensitivities, where you have Neptune moon, Neptune sun, you have Neptune's deep spiritual consciousness affecting the conscious mind, right? So you have a lot of uncanny sensitivities and just profound sensitivities, really up to and including like psychicism and the spectrum of mentality. And it could be possible that we see some sort of expression or emergence of spirituality or spiritualism in American life or relative to American life. I don't know if we've had in the last, wow. I don't know if we've had a Pisces cycle. I haven't gone back to like 1776 and figured out the progressed lunar cycles, but I'm going to guess that's just 250 degrees around. And this is our first Pisces cycle in a progressed chart. I'm just the quick math. This is the first time we've been here. So that's interesting.
it is interesting. And Jupiter too is the classical ruler of Pisces. And I think you pointed out the trine to Jupiter, which is also in the position of the United States sun near Sirius. But so this cycle is highly connected to that whole core being that is the United States, that is being affected by Jupiter. Like if you overlay both of the charts of the 1776 chart, approximately where Jupiter is in this chart is, and it's retrograde, so it's moving back towards the sun, is where the United States sun is located. So there is a real like core connection to that core essence.
This will resonate, and that's actually how, just as an aside, that's how we read progress charts when we're doing it like professionally. We would compare that progress chart with the natal chart, and we would see how those alignments really hit. So you're noticing something that we would be noticing if we were doing this like at the next layer of depth, which we're not, because we just want to make this more like accessible for absolutely everyone, not just professionals.
Jupiter, like Neptune, is a planet of spiritualism.
Yes. Yes.
of faith, of expansion. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's certainly opportunity, I think, in the next cycle. And like I was saying before, everything casts a shadow. It's just the nature of existence,
Yes.
it seems. But
Yeah, absolutely. And I like this isn't a trine sextile. It's not a trine sextile to the nodes. The sun moon do make a trine to north node, which is always good. That will help us move things forward. It's always good to see a trine to the nodes. That means the bodies in question are going to be working in harmonic way, in a harmonious way with like the karmic imperatives. But the south node, the septile is a degree, an aspect rather, that implies that a lot of stuff is out of our control because it's fated. It's fated. So these things will happen at just the right time. Like a sun moon south node thing, when south nodes with Pluto is like, as we're letting go of our past and we're resolving these kind of polarizations and dichotomies, and they're playing out in front of our eyes, many of them that I would characterize to this sort of Pluto nodes effect, because Pluto square nodes in the sky now, and that's been sort of an ongoing point of interest. And in this progress chart, we have Venus on Hamal square the nodes, which is really Venus on Hamal kind of loves to fight. Loves to argue as a form of relating, loves to conquer, loves to compete. So we have this square the nodes, and the solution to this, what Venus needs, is actually that this be realized. So this is really important, this whole Pluto piece, to a lot of the sort of like, now getting into the deeper dynamics. And I think what I would say, to translate all that astro gibberish into like helpful advice or ground level stuff, would be ground level words, would be that not only is the polarization likely to continue within within United States, things are likely to continue to be polarized. But I think that the people who choose to lean into their spiritual truth and the bigger picture of like life in the universe, who can think beyond just the boundaries of the United States, I think they're going to have a really, really, really important advantage to over those people who are going to get caught up in like just whatever petty politics like display themselves. I think this chart, just to put all that in short, advantages the big picture and the resolution of our real karmic imperatives. Like, let's wrap up our loose ends. And on an individual level, that could look like everyone getting right with the bright light and the long shadow of what America is. It could look like not taking part in a lot of the bickering and the rhetoric. It could look like focusing on where their bread is buttered, which is your connection to the universe, to the cosmos. And this really advantages those people who are going to lean into their personal freedom and use this to just let the world and politics kind of turn and orient themselves to the big truths. That's what I see. Thanks for letting me get all that out, River.
yeah, thank you for that. And it's always good to have, what do you do with all of this? But how can we use it in a positive way in our lives? And so that's good.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. It's just a bunch of information. It can, I've seen it in so many cases, astrology used to just totally not deal with the world. They just deal with their astrological archetypes, and people do that. Or it's interesting. But River, I think that's just
Yeah.
it. To catch that wave of freedom and realize, like, wow, this one's on me. I could go either way here, and I think we'll watch people go either way.
I do think
Yeah,
what one side of Pisces is just profound compassion.
yeah.
So
Forgiveness, yes. Compassion, yes. I love that. Universal, universal, the peaceful. So, River, is there anything that you would like to offer in conclusion, to say, to tack on to the end, anything whatsoever?
I think that is just giving me like that feels like a good place. The compassion piece, the healing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah, definitely. Let's
universal
heal.
love, like despite the polarization, like if
Yeah,
there's a way to tap into the compassion piece,
yeah.
which we're going to be in Pisces for a while. I
Long
mean, this
time,
is,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So,
This is the next phase. That's an important point. And we're going to have to make our peace with and forgive people who disagree with us, people who have all kind of views. We're going to have to make internally a peace with uh, the population of a country that promotes and values freedom, whatever that means. A lot of people take it to mean the freedom to do whatever I want. And we got there's so much forgiveness work, and there's so much. My favorite thing about COVID and Trump and all this drama and the dark stuff that we've experienced lately is that it's shown everyone just like where things are. Like you can take a role in your own life. Like you can get into this and start looking at people like, how are my relationships to these people? Is there love? Is there, if there's not, is there compassion, forgiveness, understanding? Is there acceptance? Or am I just like, is my hand already in the trap and like snap, I'm just dragged along the wheel by my passions? And my Pisces gives us a chance to 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 just see all that in the light, like through God's eyes, or to realize that that's God's eye. There's the 9 billion and who knows how many more, just trillions on earth at this point. Just we're all the experience of the ocean of consciousness of Pisces and of Neptune. So yeah, I think that's where the strength of it is, River. And I think that is the very best place to leave off that I can think of, is just focused on that. Forgiveness. What else are the words? Compassion, forgiveness, Pisces, peace, peace.
yeah, and that
Wow.
Chiron return that we'll be having with the eclipse conjunct Chiron, exactly. I think is also in Pisces is an
Yeah.
invitation to this compassion, to this healing
Mm,
of,
big time, big time. And
yeah.
we'll be talking more about all that and all the other events we mentioned. We'll be doing that sort of roundtable thing I think with just more of us. The crew has all expressed universally an interest to get together and talk about that. So we'll see that soon. Are you working on anything, River? Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to shout out?
Um, Not specifically at the moment, though I'm devising a book on the stars. So that's
Ooh,
a big project, but I feel
very.
myself being ready to begin.
Wow, wow, wow. There's no one I'd rather read their book on the stars, but over you. And I mean, I've already read
Thank you.
Bernadette Brady's, but I know you, and now I know your connection, your passion, your interest, your the level of your knowledge. That's wonderful. Congrats.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I
But
wish
but
you
if you,
everything good. Yeah.
yeah, thanks so much for that. And if you do want to follow me on Instagram, I do plan on offering classes in the future. I don't have a specific one nailed down, but if you follow me, you can become aware of those.
Righteous. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So anything you want to say to people before we close this down? Besides,
Well,
thank you and goodbye.
just thanks for going along with us on this journey. I know that those were a lot of charts, and just if you've made it to the end, thank you so much. Even if you didn't make it to the end, thank you so much for being
Yeah, we
here.
love you anyway. Well, maybe you'll pick it back up sometime and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, guys. So, River, thank you,
Thank
bless
you.
you, and I really
Really
appreciate you.
appreciate
Really
appreciate
appreciate.
your work as well, Michael. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, friends, that was it. Ciao for now.
Ciao.